He's given up 24 goals against in his last 5 starts. Take us through maybe the mindset of a goalie who's struggling like this, because a lot of people are saying it's a confidence thing for Jack Campbell. He's just got to find his confidence. But in season, is that just way easier said than done?
Confidence is a real thing. There is something behind that. It's just a matter of what's it going to take? Is it just one big game to turn it around? I would argue that's not the case. You need to have 3, 4 games in a row, win or lose, where you walk out of walk out of the building feeling pretty good about yourself. And for Jack, that's not the case the last 5. I mean, we're looking at now. It's been 6 games since he's put up a save percentage over 90%. One of the games he gets pulled, 4 goals on 14 shots. Like that's not a game you're walking out feeling good. You know, even when you win a game, you still allow 3 or 4. So I think the biggest thing is your confidence level really is tied to the generalized feeling. And to hear him say after the game, there's a couple I'd like to have back. He's brutally honest, right? But it
Yeah.
shines through. So I think you just have to go back to your reps, your technique, your practice, and just do the things that have given you success before that allowed him to win 8 games in a row earlier this year when he was allowing 2 and 3 and against.
Yeah, and there was that run where he did look good, and it took a couple of games against some weaker opponents, but that got the ball rolling. Then it was bang, good game against Vegas, bang, good game against Tampa,
Hmm.
and he really got going. And it was actually at a time when Skinner was starting to slip. A lot of people are going to look at Campbell, and actually, I'll throw you this for a piece of analysis. D Cards 35 in the chat. He makes himself incredibly small in the crease. Do you think is that an equipment issue with Campbell, or when you see a guy making himself small, is that positional? Like, what do you make of that comment?
There's some truth to it in that Campbell doesn't like the biggest upper body gear in the world.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's part of it. I know he's experimented with different things and he has switched from Vaughn to Brian's gear, which is a little bit squarer, at least the pads. The gloves changed as well. That happened around Christmas time, and that's when he did go on his big run. It was like once he switched to Brian's, dude, he took off,
Yeah.
and I was just thinking, awesome, like he's crossed the bridge, right? And then these last 5 games have been a bit of a step back. I do think he needs to look at himself in the mirror literally and say, man, I can be bigger. I can present bigger. What can I do with my equipment to help that? And what can I do with hand positioning? What can I do with my upper body when I'm in my stance, especially on shots that are from far away? He tends to bring his hands kind of close into his body, which does expose space and makes it a little bit bigger. But presenting's big is something I talk about commonly with goalies that I coach. Like you want to take up as much space visually as you can. It's not a deception game. Okay. Any commentator you ever hear say that, oh, he was giving him that side and took it away. Yeah, that's a load of trash. Nobody does that anymore. You need to be as big as you can in the net. So uh, I think there is something to it that his stance in general, where his hand positioning is, and combined with his upper body gear, which is not very big compared to others in the league, does have something to do with him looking smaller.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that there's anything Campbell can do in season that can drastically change him. This feels like one of those things, Mike, where he's gonna have to just go into the summer, and it might be a long summer and a hard working summer, but to make changes like your upper body gear and things like that, it's unrealistic to think he's gonna just magically flip a switch and turn this around in season, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, short of doing a full-on goalie school in the middle of the year, which you can do. I mean, and here's the thing, though, I wouldn't say it's impossible because Skinner's to me has been so consistent, right?
Yeah.
23 out of his 34 starts this year, Skinner's allowed either 2 or 3 goals against, Tyler. Like that's
Wow.
stunning consistency. Um, if you can bank on Skinner starting a bunch of these next games and let Campbell just kind of get back into his own mode where he's working on his things in practice and morning skates for a little bit, it's not a bad deal. This is why I thought having these 2 goalies would be a necessity for the Oilers, and it's proven out to be. They've both won 17 games, right? I think if I'm going to check the stat
Yeah.
sheet here. Um, so the difference is that Campbell's allowed so many goals that the Oilers have had to score a ton of goals in those games. They've turned it into track meets. Whereas Skinner, with his consistency and allowing less, is the team hasn't had to score as often, but maybe almost to a detriment. So um, I do think you can do it in season. And the one thing about Campbell, man, he works, and he absolutely loved by teammates, works like crazy. He's going to try to do everything he can to help it. It's just a matter of if they can create a roadmap in season that's going to work for him again.